Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English, where I am here today to tell you how to think in English, okay? But before we get there, I have an unbelievable story for you, okay? I think the best story ever told on the podcast. However, it was not told on this podcast, it was told on the Rock and Roll English family podcast, and today I am going to let you listen. As I mentioned in yesterday's podcast, we normally share more personal stories on the family podcast, and this one is a bit dangerous, a very controversial topic, okay, involving Dan the man nearly dying, okay? So I want you to listen to this story, only 1 minute, and then I'm going to tell you how this can help you think in English. Are you ready? Let's go.
Did I tell you about my vaccine issue?
No, Dan, this is very dangerous territory. We are moving on now, but please tell me.
Well, it's not as dangerous. It's just something that happened. Okay, so I arrived in Denmark, and I've had the two. I've had the injection, the Pfizer.
Double jabbed, as they say. Double jabbed.
Double jabbed, yeah, double jabbed, and went to get my booster here because obviously the government said suddenly you can't do anything about this booster. So we went down there. Mrs. Dan the man went to her section. I went to my section because obviously I'm not part of the system here. Went in there and they asked me, what injections did you have before? I said, Pfizer. I said, are you going to get your injections in the future here? And I said, well, yeah, if I'm accepted in my residency, should be fine. Gave me the injection and said to me, okay, you need to come back in 3 weeks. And I said, what? I said,
this is the booster.
I said, this is the booster you've given me, yeah? And she goes, yeah, but you have to come back in 3 weeks. And I went, okay, all right. It was a bit weird. Left the rooms, went to the waiting area where Mrs. Dan the man was. And I said, do you have to come back in 3 weeks? And she said no. And there was about a 2-minute period where they rushed me to the doctor. I thought, I'm going to have a heart attack. They've given me the wrong injection.
So there you have it. To listen to the rest of the story, obviously you need to find that particular episode in the family membership, but I can tell you now it had a happy ending and Dan the man is still alive, totally healthy. So how can this stupid story help you think in English? Well, the real answer to that question is the best way and the only way to start thinking in a language is immersion, full immersion. Now, you may have heard this before. It basically means your whole life needs to be in English. So you are listening to English, reading English, full immersion. In the past, to have a full immersion, people had to move abroad. But now that's not necessary because we have the internet. So where can you find this full immersion? The reality is you can listen to anything and read anything. But what's the problem? Motivation, because it's a bit boring, isn't it? If I say read the newspaper every day, watch BBC News, you're probably thinking, that's really fucking boring. So what's the answer? Listen to Rock and Roll English every day. Because remember, in the family area, there are nearly 900 episodes. That's right, nearly 900 extra episodes. And if you listen to all 900, let me repeat that, 900, then what's going to happen? You will be immersed in English and you will begin to think in English. Now, don't take my word for this, because one of our family members, recently I asked all of the members to write a review, and one of the things she said is, with the hundreds of podcasts that there are in the members area, I listen to English every day and my brain starts to think in English. It's very simple, isn't it? And that review is from Elena from Italy. And you can go to the website to see a picture of her if you want. I did not just make that up. So if you would like to join the Rock and Roll English family, listen to these 900 extra episodes that you will be motivated to listen to because you already like rock and roll English. It's not like buying a book off Amazon and then you read 20 pages and you think, fuck, this book is really boring. I don't like this. Because you already like rock and roll English. You know you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast right now. So go to rockandrollenglish.com/family to hear what happens to Dan the Man and access those 887 episodes, I think they are. Make English a part of your life, become immersed in the language, because obviously it's not just listening, there's speaking, reading and even writing in the Rock and Roll English family. So go to rockandrollenglish.com to make English a part of your daily life and become immersed in the language. I will talk to you all very soon, people, but in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.